Racer. This week we have guest Dan Redznak. How you doing, Dan?
I'm good, guys. How are you?
Pretty good.
Well,
Pretty good.
Good.
Yeah.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, of course. Thanks for coming on.
Pleasure.
Dan is a personal trainer at a gym in the North End. You want to talk a little bit about the gym you work at?
Yeah. So my gym is called North End Fitness. It's me and two other certified personal trainers. Our spot is relatively unique because we're a personal training studio, which means we don't do any memberships, any contracts, nothing like that. And we work around you guys. So a lot of people are like, oh, why don't you have regular hours? Well, it's because as trainers, we're going to work off our client's schedule. So if they want us there at 2 in the morning, we're there. If they want us there at 9 p.m., we're there. So that's a pretty cool aspect there. But again, we're all three certified personal trainers with different backgrounds in fitness. And it's kind of a dream team there where we have three guys who all know a little bit more than the other in one aspect and might need to brush up on skills in the other. So we're all bouncing ideas off each other like one big team. But we're on 294 North Street in the North End, basically right behind Modern Pastry and a couple steps from the Paul Revere House. So it's historic and it's tight-knit. It's a community atmosphere.
Yeah, that's pretty cool, actually. I don't think I've ever come across a gym like that where they can open up for you at like 2 a.m.
Yeah, we're that's a big thing that we believe in, So everyone works different, right? Some people get restless at night, but it really does. We have the keys, so it really does work off the client's needs. If they want to be there at 2 a.m., well, it's an early day for me, but shit, we'll be there at 2 a.m.
Yeah, damn, that's rough. I mean, rough, but motivating at the same time.
Yeah, I mean, I love my job, so
Yeah.
it's not a hard thing for me to do, especially for a client.
Yeah. So, you want tell me, how did you kind of get into fitness? Like, what kind of led you to becoming a personal trainer?
Yeah, so that's a good question. Really started back, I would say, in high school, sophomore year. I was super, super, super skinny, couldn't put on weight, standing as a rail, and I needed to add some weight to be competitive playing football.
Yeah.
So over those next 2 years, I started looking into the lifting and stuff. Got some decent results. Was pretty fit going into college. And then sophomore year of college, I put on like a freshman, like 1,500 over 2 years.
Gee.
And I wasn't happy with myself going into junior year, so I needed to change. So I actually went down to Boston Sports Club at the bottom of the hill there. And I signed on, excuse me, with a trainer who's one of my best buddies to this day. But I saw my results. I got what I wanted out of it, and then every trainer kind of feels this way. But there's a point that you hit in your own personal journey where you either want to turn around and start doing that for other people, or you want to continue on your own path. And for me, at the time, I was looking for a job, something a little bit different than just flipping patties at McDonald's. I didn't want to have a regular college job, so I turned around, got my certifications in order, and then it all started there as a trainer, probably junior, summer year, going into senior year.
Yeah.
So that's kind of the story, yep.
Yeah.
So I've been the skinny kid, I've been the kid who needs to lose weight, I've been all over the road, which, it sucked at the time, but looking back on it, it's a really great experience for me and a learning experience to kind of diversify my portfolio of clients with all backgrounds, because if, they're trying to put on weight, they can't, I've been there. You're trying to lose weight and you can't, I've been there. I've also been the guy
that must help, like with working with different kinds of people to have that experience.
It's so helpful, and you'll see trainers all the time whether they'll do like, oh, I'm eating McDonald's for a month and that's it, I'm not working out, and then they lose the weight just so they can get that experience. Because I mean, you don't know anyone else's body or how what it's like until you've walked a mile in their shoes. So that's kind of, I think, the advantage that I have is I've been there, I've been in all those spots. So
yeah, that's pretty cool. You're talking about the Boston Sports Club by Gov Center near the police station?
Yep, that's it.
Yeah, that one seems nice. But
it's nice. It's ironic that they're next to a police station, though.
Yeah,
all this stuff that they pull, but it is what it is.
Yeah, and then so maybe for some of our viewers who are curious, you want to explain the path to getting your certifications? Did you just do online courses, or how'd that work out?
Yeah, so the easiest part is adding the educational resources to your cart and paying them money. That's just the easiest part of it. But basically what I did was you study at home and you have an online module and you get a textbook and everything like that. And then when you feel ready, you go and take your certification test. And if you pass that, you're certified. The course load's pretty intensive. I remember it was like 27 modules, all ranging from imbalances and clients all the way up to how to construct your own gym in terms of like the raw mechanical measurements and stuff like that.
Oh, wow.
So it's super, super expansive. I was lucky because at the time I was taking 4 classes at Suffolk. So I just treated that certification program like a 5th class and was able to get certified in about 2 months. Passing the test, I got like a 98 on it. So that's kind of the way it is. It's pretty laid back. If you're working a part-time job, if you're a student, if you're an adult who's just looking for something different, you can get the certification as long as, you're doing your shit and you got to take it seriously. You got to be willing to learn about things that you might not be the best in. I went to school for sociology and now here I am trying to learn anatomy. But you do learn. So that's kind of the process. You got to get your thing and really put your own initiative into it because you're not going away to a classroom and they're not taking attendance.
Yeah. It's all about that, like, finding purpose and staying committed kind of thing.
100%.
Yeah.
100%.
And then, you can go.
I was going to say, have there been any clients that you've been inspired by, like anyone that's coming to the gym and you've helped train and then you're like, wow, it's kind of inspirational how I've been able to help this person out and change their life?
Yeah, for sure. So that's part of the reason why I do the job. Because I know when I was training with someone that feeling that I had when I finally hit my goals, I felt happy, emotionally happy. I felt good about myself, felt confident about myself. So if I can instill that in someone else, I mean, I guess you could say it's a cheesy answer, but I guess I'm inspired by all my clients because they're brave enough to take a step into something that they're not comfortable with. And they're willing to put time and effort into it. And they're dedicated. And you know what? That's a lot more than you can say about a lot of people in this world. But they inspire me every single day to be my best, be the best version of myself, be the best Dan,
Yeah.
Because no one wants to work out with a 50% mad Dan. So you got to be the best me. So they inspire me every day to really push myself, ask myself, and they inspire me to learn because they have questions that, I'll admit that sometimes I just don't know the answer to. And that's an important thing is being able to say, hey, man, I don't know the answer, but let me get back to you on that. Instead of trying to bullshit your way around some stuff like a bunch of online trainers do.
Yeah.
So they inspired me to learn, for sure.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. And then, so moving on to some more recent times, I remember seeing on your page that you had a knee injury. What was it specifically?
Yeah, so over the summer, I tore my left ACL. So for those of you who don't know what that is, it's basically a ligament that's going to connect your femur, which is the big leg bone, to your tibia, which is your shin bone. And it prevents movement front to back and rotational movement. So it's a very, very important ligament for sports. I was playing some football and I landed wrong and I ended up tearing the whole ligament. I had to get a reconstructive surgery at the end of August.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not a fun injury. I don't wish it on my worst enemy. It's a horrible recovery, but again, if you look at it the right way, you can always learn from those things. And it's funny because I think that injury has helped me out in my career by more than a textbook could, more than any Google article could, because I had to experience it. So it's like being with, being the skinny kid who kept going weight, being a fat kid, I experienced it. So that's helped my career leaps and bounds in terms of understanding the body and how it works and everything like that.
Yeah, and so what was the kind of learning and journey you took after, like your livelihood depends on being able to be athletic and move around and show people the right form and exercises. So how did you adjust after your surgery? What kind of things did you do?
In terms of educating clients, I was lucky because I was moving around right after the surgery, so I was able to kind of half demo things and be like, all right, we want to squat like this, but just a little bit lower than I can because my knees busted up. But in terms of applying the knowledge to clients, I've learned a lot to care about imbalances. So, again, we are all horribly imbalanced because we sit at a desk all day, right? So what that's going to do is going to place tightness on your hips, your lower back. You're going to be banged up. one thing that a lot of people forget about, especially guys, is their glutes. So your glutes are going to be one of your most important muscles to preventing knee injury. And it sounds crazy, but basically the glute is what's going to prevent your leg from caving in on a jump, which is how I tore my ACL. I caved in, knee buckled, because I didn't have the glute strength to accommodate for that. Working on different environments for leg day training. So instead of just squatting as much weight as you can, working on we call it the VMO, the vastus medialis oblique. Think of that as that teardrop muscle on the inside of your leg. Working on that, that's where a lot of stability in the knee is going to come from. So it's helped me with my clients, especially my athletes. And I think, any kid that's listening to this that is an athlete, whether you're 8 years old or you're, a rec league hero, you should listen to this. But to understand the imbalances in training your legs in a different way, as opposed to just thinking of it as leg day, is going to do leaps and bounds for not only your performance, but your durability. And I think that's the biggest thing that I've learned through going through the injury myself.
Yeah, so it's kind of like you might have a consistent leg day, but you might not be activating the things that really that your body will put force on with certain movements.
Right, and working in different aspects of functional fitness, right? So, everyone's worried about, I can deadlift 400 pounds. All right, great. If you cut at full speed, what's going to happen? Does your knee have the stability? Or if you're jumping off of something, right? So if everyone's like, I can box jump up. Well, how about you jump down? Do you have proper landing mechanics? Even like sprinting, are you having proper sprint front side backside mechanics? Stuff like that where, it gets so overlooked. And that's why we see so many injuries in sports, is because that stuff just gets overlooked by bad coaching, ignorance. And I don't want to do, single leg hops for 15 minutes. But you got to get it done. It's just a key part of your training. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's like if you're not sorry.
You finished it.
No, it's just like, if you're not putting in that time to make a holistic program, then you're gonna suffer for it. And that's the bottom line. It's like with anything.
What I was gonna ask is, so I know you work with like a lot of different types of people, a lot of different body types, and different kinds of athletes. But what are like some workout routines that you think anyone could benefit from, regardless of their athletic ability or body type?
Yeah, for sure. So if we're talking the most basic thing, push-ups, planks, and sit-ups, air squats, right? So basically 4 big muscles that you can get to. And that's all stuff that can be done at home. So what I like to do for my clients when they're first starting out, I give them a little challenge. I do it with them. All right, we're going to do 100 push-ups in the morning when we wake up, right? And people go, 100 push-ups, oh my God. When you think about it, you wake up, right? Maybe you do 20. And then, you go cook your breakfast. Maybe with eggs on the stove, you do 20 more, right? There's 40. 20 before you go in the shower. 20 when you come out of the shower. There's 80. And then before you brush your teeth or after brush your teeth, there's 100, right? So little tiny things like that don't require equipment. The only thing that stuff requires is an excuse not to do it, because anyone can do a push-up, whether it's from your knees or whether you're doing the full thing or whether you're on an incline or using your counter. Anyone can do a push-up, and I'd say that's like the biggest one. And then planks, obviously you can plank anywhere too, air squats, all those little body weight movements that we know that we should be doing, that we do throughout the day but not in volume.
Yeah.
Stuff like that. Yeah.
Okay. And what about like with weights? What are your best?
The best exercise?
Yeah, like the ones you would recommend the most to anyone who's just working out.
Yeah, I would say focus on your compound movements. So that's going to be your bench press, your squat, your deadlift motion, your overhead press, stuff like that. Where if you only have a certain amount of time or a certain amount of dumbbells, lie on the ground and do a dumbbell chest press, and then stand up and maybe do an Arnold press for the shoulders, and then, front rack the dumbbells and do a couple squats, maybe pulse it up, like a down, up type deal. You can do dumbbell deadlifts right from the floor. You can do a deadlift. So there's so much you can do, but I would say focus on those compound movements. Those are going to be the ones that are going to hit other muscles as well off the prime mover, called them accessory muscles. So those are still going to get their work, as opposed to we're just going to sit here and bicep curl all day. It's not really doing much for our back, for our chest, but compound movements are going to be the biggest thing.
Yeah, for sure. I remember, so We actually had really good a really good training program set up at my high school for the football team. Like
Yeah.
the trainers really focus on form, different exercises every day. They worked a lot of different part of your body. And one thing I kind of picked up from there is it doesn't matter if you can do a huge amount of weight for one rep. What they cared about was low reps, but just do like tons of repetition. And I feel like, would you say that's better for building strength in the long term? Like it makes your body stronger and more durable?
Well, it depends what your definition of strong is. So basically, what we've identified so far is three kind of aspects of training
Okay.
where it's all based off of rep ranges. So anywhere from 1 to 5 or 6 is really going to be about building, we call it maximal strength. So think of your deadlifts, your squats, your bench press, your 1 rep maxes, your 3 rep maxes, stuff like that.
Yeah.
Then when you start moving out of that range, you get from like that 8 to 12 range, 7 to 12 range. That's called your hypertrophy range. So that's where you're going to see a lot of muscle growth at the expense of muscle like strength. So
Okay.
basically, the more reps you do, the more conditioned your muscles are getting, but they're not necessarily getting bigger or stronger, but they're getting more conditioned, if that makes sense.
Yeah, so it's more like endurance over strength when you do that.
Exactly.
Okay.
So my buddy Zach, he's one of the trainers here. He has all his clients in the 15 to 20 rep range, especially for shoulder press, and that's because as a boxer, you need a lot of endurance to do the rounds, right?
Yeah.
Where the clients that I have, they're looking to put on muscle and build strength. We have them down at 5, 4 reps, 3, even 2 sometimes if we're pulling a really, really heavy percentage of their 1 rep max. So different training, different reps is gonna do different things. So it depends what the goal of your coach was, but it doesn't always necessarily have to be more reps equals more work, or more reps will make you stronger. And the biggest one that drives me nuts is that more reps are going to tone you up. No, that's all bullshit.
Yeah.
Something else actually that I was always kind of curious about, because I've heard like different opinions on this. So like, so I try to go to like, well, like what I like to do, so is I try to get like 3 or 4 days a week like lifting, and then like another like 3 like doing like cardio, like running and that kind of stuff. And I'll have like 1 day to rest. But I was just wondering, so when you're doing like different kinds of workouts, would you say it's more effective to kind of spend like a long time, like 1 day, like an hour and a half maybe in the gym if you're lifting, for example, if you're doing like a bicep, tricep, like, or a chest day, or would you say it's more effective to do like a lot more, like workout almost every day but for a shorter amount of time? Or is it depending on what kind of body you have?
So it's going to depend on the type of body that you have. Everything depends on that. So it depends. But honestly, I'm going to bring it down to preference, personal preference. But the important thing is to note your total volume at the end of the workout. So it's reps times sets times weight, right? So if we have one big long day, right, and we're moving, 60,000 pounds of volume, or we break it up, and let's say we do that 3 days a week. We do a big long workout 3 days a week, right? And our total volume becomes to 60,000 pounds each day. 6, 6, 6. That's 180,000 pounds total at the end of the week, right? If we do a bunch of shorter ones, maybe we do an hour, like you said, but we do it more often, right? And say maybe we're doing 40,000, but we're going for 5 days, right? So 40,000 pounds times 5 days, what is that? 20,000, some shit like 200,000, that's it. So in the long run, at the end of that week, when we take our rest day regardless, we've actually done more work over the week with the shorter ones. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
But that's not to say that the volume in the long one couldn't exceed the shorter one. So it really depends on how you program it, how your body responds and reacts, and how your body type is, how your metabolism is going to process a big workout like that. Because then you're going to eat a shit ton of food, and if you have a slow metabolism, you might not want to eat a shit ton of food at one time because your insulin is going to spike way up. But if you have a fast metabolism, you might be able to get away with something like that, where you work out for an hour and a half to 2 hours, and you just muck when you get home because you just burn it right up. So it really does boil down to your body type. But the biggest thing to focus on there is not on the days at all. It's actually on the volume at the end of the week.
Yeah, actually, there's a great Joe Rogan clip. I forget who his guest was, but they talk about working out smarter, not harder. Where it's like, like it's great to wear your body out, but like if you do really high reps, like 1 or 2 days, your body isn't going to be able to consistently put those numbers up all week. You're going to end up
Exactly.
much lower than the guy that balances it throughout the week at the end of the, like around comes Saturday, Sunday.
Exactly. And your body's going to recover differently too.
Yeah,
For sure. That was a good question. That's a really good one.
All right. That's pretty much it for me. Do you guys have any more questions?
So wait, Dan, are you an alumni now of Suffolk, or are you?
I am.
You are.
Yep. An old dude.
Okay, so what degree did you graduate with, and like how was your experience at Suffolk too as well?
Yeah, I graduated with a sociology degree with a concentration in criminal justice, which is funny. It has nothing to do with training. My experience there was positive, I would say.
Yeah.
Took a minute.
It was a positive experience where I learned a lot about mostly other people, learned a lot about myself, but a lot about other people too. And yeah, I won't really get too much into it. I partied a lot. You know, me and Sergeant E are buddies now because of all the times that he paid me late night visits. But you know, I had fun, had a good time, did some stuff with SGA, and yeah.
Awesome.
It's all good.
Yeah. Always love a good shout out to SGA.
Yeah, I always love a good shout out to SGA.
Oh, by the way, congratulations to Angela. She's now SGA's president.
SGA president.
Yeah.
Oh, she won?
Yeah, she won.
Yeah.
Let's go.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Congratulations.
Yeah, she won by like 3%.
Congrats. Wow. That's a tight race.
Awesome.
That's a really tight race. Yeah, she is. She's really capable. So, congrats, Angela, from Straight No Chaser, if you're watching this. All right. So, Dan, since you're on here, I guess I'm getting a bit of a free consultation, I guess. But
sure.
My topic for the week is just kind of like my weight loss journey and where it's at now. So, COVID has affected us in so many negative ways, but like when I think back on it, I feel like I've just taken so much time to actually look at my physical health.
Right.
So I've always been like kind of just like on the bulkier side. Like it's really easy for me to put on fat, but at the same time I can build muscle really easily too. So finally, I always was like active all the way through high school, but not enough to really be lean, just kind of husky.
Right.
And then college came and I stopped playing sports, so I would maybe do like Suffolk football club like once or twice, like once a week, twice a week here and there. I would stay active here and there, but not consistently. So come this past summer, I had nothing to do. I was just sitting around at home, just on my ass. So I was like, you know what? I'm gonna just start running and jump roping every day. Every day I'm gonna start doing that. Yeah, and then over time I just ordered a few things. So I ordered a 10-pound med ball, got my jump rope, and then from there I just do all body work. And I kept my meal portions low. So in the first 6 months I lost 30 pounds, but I still got chub, so I'm really trying to get lean for the summer. So since December, I've really looked into like I got this like cheap ripoff of a Fitbit, so I can track my heart rate and calorie burn, as well as like MyFitnessPal. So I have no idea how people in the 80s and 90s did this stuff. Like, how did you track
steroids, dude?
Yeah,
steroids.
Yeah, because like
golden era of bodybuilding.
Yeah, for real. Because like I couldn't imagine understanding what I was eating without these apps and these like trackers, because it's really hard to tell. Like now I know things like broccoli and blackberries are high in fiber. I never knew that. I never even
Fiber's
thought about
good,
that.
dude.
Yeah.
And fiber, so we call it soluble fiber, will actually cancel out carbohydrates. That's why you see the word net carbs being thrown around. So
Okay.
think about like your net pay, right? It's whatever you made minus what the government's stealing, taking, what you're
Stealing.
paying in
No, that's
taxes,
the right word.
and then the final amount. But yeah, so soluble fiber will cancel out carbs. So that's why you say like that's why you see that broccoli is technically a low carb food.
Yeah.
Say it has 10 grams of carbs, but it has 6 grams of fiber. That nets it at 4 carbohydrates. So
Wow.
that's
Okay.
actually so that's a big thing. And you talked about, kind of still having that like that little excess that you want to get rid of.
Yeah.
One of the interesting things, and when we see weight loss drop, as fast as you did, and then kind of bottom out, one of the things is, and it sounds ironic, but it might be that you're not eating enough.
Yeah. Actually, I
So
thought about that.
what happens is when you get so caught up in the number on the scale and you want to see results like that, boom, like those fucking fast diets, that's going to put your body into a conservation mode because now all of a sudden you've gone from having a ton of food, right, to just cutting it out. Your body's going to say, oh shit, you know what? If I'm not getting things in, I'm going to have to hold on to everything. So it actually slows down your metabolism. So what
Yeah.
I like to do for clients is put them in this thing. It's called a caloric deficit, which is exactly what it sounds like. Just the calories in versus calories out.
Yeah.
And we start them at 500. 500 calories and you get you a pound a week if you're working hard. If you're walking, I think it was if you walk 5,000 steps or something like that, and you're in a deficit of 500 pounds, you're gonna lose a pound a week.
Yeah. Pretty much.
But
And then the other thing.
it's all. Go ahead. Sorry.
Oh yeah, yeah. The other thing now that I'm like, so I started following these YouTube channels, Jump Rope Dudes and Jeff Nippard. So Jeff Nippard is great because he points out he's like this guy that he does a ton of research and points out like the main studies all across the board, like people who disagree with each other in fitness and nutrition. But that's where I kind of realized like this channel is what taught me like your body needs fats for those other kind
Yeah.
of like enzymes and
You need fats for your hormones too, man.
yeah,
Your hormone
yeah,
regulation.
like
Yeah. It's
fats help
not
you
all fats are
absorb.
created equal.
Yeah,
Right.
exactly. Like fats help you
Not all
absorb
fats are
nutrient. Yeah,
correct. Yes, sir.
yeah,
Yes,
and
sir.
then
Not all fats are evil. Not all
yeah,
fats are evil. Omega 3s, I think beta 6, what it's called. And then you got like your unsaturated fats, right? So it's not,
yeah,
it gets a bad rap because people associate fat with being fat. That's not how it is at all.
no,
Not at all.
yeah, yeah. So I've worked myself up to I think I'm at probably around 1,500 calories a day. And my
Yeah.
the thing is now my workout isn't compensating for that. I think now that I got this
Right.
Fitbit knockoff, I found out like now that I've increased my diet, I also need to really increase my workout because I was burning maybe like 8 to 1,000 depending on the day.
Are you doing cardio after those workouts?
Yeah, I start with jump rope and cardio, and then I just do a bunch of body work, like tons of core
Do you
and
do it,
push ups.
and is it all like boom, boom, boom? Is it rapid fire? Do you get like winded?
Yeah, yeah. So the thing is, I'll run after my run. I'll walk for a bit and cool down, and then I'll go into
Yeah.
the abs and push up. So my
All
heart
right.
rate probably slows down there.
Cool. So what I want to teach you guys about is I don't know if you heard, but this thing called EPOC, which stands
Okay.
for excessive post oxidative consumption. So, best way to lose fat, obviously, I'm going to say is with resistance training. You got to get in the gym. You got to start pushing some weight.
Yeah.
Your muscle, right? So, clients like, I have to lift weights. What do you mean? Well, essentially, what we're doing, we're taking a V4 Prius and we're turning it into a V10 Hellcat, right? And let me tell you, a Hellcat uses a lot more gasoline than a Prius does. Correct, fellas?
Yeah, of
Oh,
course.
yeah.
Exactly.
bit.
So we want to turn our body into that, right? We want to turn our body into something that needs a lot of fuel because where are we going to get that fuel if we're not eating enough? It's going to come from our fat stores. That's how you melt fat. Secondly, with the whole the EPOC thing, the reason why I like to do cardio at the end, especially a high intensity cardio, is because when you're winded and you're sucking air, like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
That becomes an anaerobic activity. So we have aerobic activities and anaerobic activities. Aerobic activities are activities that we do that we can do with oxygen. So like steady state running, right? A long distance run is an aerobic activity. We got a lot of supply of oxygen in, relatively balanced use of oxygen, which is why our heart rate tends to stay the same. If you go on a run and you look at your watch and it's at 160, your heart rate's probably going to be at about 160 until you decide to either sprint or walk.
Yeah.
Then with high intensity interval training, what we do is we spike your heart rate. We keep it up there to the point where you're winded and you really need air. What that does is it becomes an anaerobic activity. That's where you get the burn from that, oh, my muscles are on fire, because the byproduct of anaerobic respiration is lactic acid. So that's going to be that burn that you feel. And I challenge you guys to think about this. The last time you went on a run, it probably didn't feel so much like a burn as it did just muscular fatigue. Like, my muscles are tired, my legs are tired, not like, wow, this burns, man. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because it's an aerobic activity. So when anaerobic respiration and the byproduct lactic acid, that's going to create an oxygen deficit within your tissues that your body needs to replace, right? So even after we cut that workout, and you might be enjoying a smoothie, right? We're doing whatever you guys are doing. You're still going to be burning calories because you might feel better, but your body says, holy crap, I still got to catch up. So you're burning calories, doing the work to get the oxygen stores replenished that we've used up.
Yeah. Wow.
So
I never really.
That's something.
Yeah. I haven't come
Yes,
across
that's
anything
something.
like that.
Yeah, EPOC,
Okay.
also known as the afterburn effect. People call it the afterburn because there's studies out there that say you can be burning calories after just 15 minutes of high intensity interval training. You burn calories for up to 48 hours.
Wow.
That's awesome.
24/7 if
Yeah.
you do it every other day. Burn calories 24/7.
Yeah.
Now, Dan, I have an additional question. Are there any like supplements that you've seen clients take that have helped them progress? Like, I'm sure you swear by all the vitamins, but is there anything in addition that you've
So
seen?
like multivitamins huge. You know, get what you need. A lot of us don't get enough nutrients in our diet. Micronutrients matter. Whey protein, like whey protein is huge. So what that's going to do is by giving your body an ample protein source, right? Giving it needs to build the trauma that just caused their muscles, as opposed to just having that muscle continue to break down further and further and further.
Do you recommend whey over like like plant-based protein or collagen protein?
Yeah, I do. Whey is going to have the BCAAs in there, so your amino acids. Whereas plant-based protein, a lot of times they'll add them in, but you have to be careful because some places won't add them in. Some companies won't add them in, but with whey, it's already in there. It's an animal product.
About bone collagen protein.
Collagen protein, yeah, that's good. All that stuff is good.
Okay, because I switched actually from whey. I used to take whey for like over a year. And the thing I noticed with whey though is it sits kind of heavy. Like you kind of feel kind of bloated and fatter like after taking it. But with collagen, it just felt leaner.
Yeah, it's a dietary, it's a dietary thing too. Humans weren't made to have dairy. We weren't.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, for me, I haven't noticed anything. It all comes down to the quality of your protein too. One of the biggest things I have with whey is on the back. A lot of people don't read the back labels. They just see the big 20G protein and they just pick it off the shelf. A little secret tip here is if you look on the back of your whey protein and the serving size, the scoop size is 20 grams, right? Or you're going to get, so let's say it's 20 grams serving size and the protein says like 12 grams of that, right? Then you have a question to ask because you're basically saying, hold up. 12 out of 20? This is 60% protein. What's the other 40%, right? So that's going to be things that could irritate your stomach, like fillers, starches, flour, baking, all that shit that the company saves money on by cutting the protein with something else, right? So think of it like those drug dealers that they never sell you the drug. They cut it with shit. Same deal with the whey protein. And that's why a lot of those basic proteins are so cheap, and that's why so many people have issues with them. Because it's not 100% soluble protein. Whereas the protein I'm taking right now, the serving size is 25 grams, and there's 22 grams of protein in it, right? So you do the math. You multiply that by 4, it's going to get you to 88% protein, right? And that's something I'm comfortable putting in my body, as opposed to 60.
Yeah.
Because then the other 5 grams is branched chain amino acids, right? So that gets you 22, 3, 4, 5, 6, 27 to 28. If they want to put a gram of baking soda in there, so be it.
Actually,
Okay, what do you think? What do you think about stuff like creatine and pre-workout?
Uh, yeah. So creatine, I call it a goal-based supplement. Um, if you want to get big, look big, and be strong, right? Creatine's great. So what it's doing is it's adding in a phosphate molecule in the Krebs cycle. So when you're using ATP, right, the byproduct is ADP, and that
Yeah.
extra phosphate comes in, turns back into ATP, so you can recycle energy faster, which in theory will give you a better workout. You retain water into the muscle, so that can make you look a little bit bigger. Personally, my experience with creatine, every time I take it, I blow it up, and I just look like a disaster. So I've kind of weaned myself off of it, and I haven't noticed any negative side effects in my workouts. So I think it's good if you want to give it a go. I'm not going to knock it, but as in terms of necessity, I'm going to say it's an unnecessary supplement. Same with pre-workout. I love my pre-workout. I love it to death. First form V2 megawatt, in case any of you want it. But what I found is I have like a dependency on it, and I think that's a problem for a lot of people because if that can become an excuse. Oh, I'm out of pre-workout. I didn't take pre-workout. I'm not going to work out, right? Your body, that's all extra stuff. Think of that like the sunroof in the car. You don't need that to get from point A to point B, but it's certainly the spike in caffeine. I'm not going to knock it, but again, necessity, not necessary. Nice to have, sure.
yeah. Yeah, I personally try to avoid protein powders and pre-workout. I guess I'm pretty new to like the whole fitness thing, so I just kind of want to learn my body on its own first, and then kind of
Yeah, that's what I did. Took me 2 years to do it, but that's
yeah,
what I did.
yeah,
Mhm. And you'll get the signs from your body too. If you're reacting well to something, if you're not reacting well to something, a certain diet plan here or there, um, you'll start to understand that, and your body's going to talk to you. But the thing is, you have to listen. You have to
yeah,
listen to what your body's telling you for sure. If you need a day off the rest, if you go into the gym, and you just perform like shit. Well, there's a good chance you just need to take a rest day, and that's okay. Work with your body because it's the only thing that's gonna be there with you for the rest of your life.
yeah. It's a good point.
Bobby was talking about like weight loss, his weight loss program. That's something
Yeah.
I like so like the something I was doing like in high school throughout like freshman, sophomore year of college. I didn't really actually see the results until like the last year and a half was like weight gain. I gained like 15, 20 pounds in like the last year. So I was just like wondering what some of your tips are on like weight gain, like some good kind of workout like tips, like what are some good workouts to do for that and what's some good like dietary plans for that.
So are you looking at like putting on mass or
Yeah,
keeping weight?
putting on mass, like muscle mass.
Yeah, perfect. So I just got out of that phase. It's called the bulk. You probably know.
Yeah.
The biggest thing with that was discipline, and people like discipline because the biggest thing there's going to be one rep range. So you're going to have to get a little uncomfortable because, like I said earlier in the show, we're going to be training in that 8 rep range. Basically, I do everything when I was bulking for 8 reps, and by rep 6, if I was doing a press, I wanted that thing basically to fall on my chest. That's how much you have to push. You have to push it every single rep. Also, with that, you use a lot of things to raise your volume, right, to cause the most muscle trauma. So things like drop sets and all that stuff can lead to a pretty lengthy session, 1. And 2, it hurts, right? It sucks. So having the mental capacity to be like, you know what, just get through it. It's going to be good for me later. That's a big thing. The second part of discipline is going to be in the kitchen. So the biggest mistake we see with bulking is obviously people think that means you can cut the wheels off and go nuts and get McDonald's every day or get Burger King, right? Just calories in.
Yeah.
That's probably the worst way you can do it. We want to make sure that we have an excess of lean protein and carbohydrates and keeping the fat in check, right? So we're not getting McDonald's every day. It's okay if you go over bulking. It's not uncommon to have, 200, if you're 170 pounds, to have 220 grams of protein, 400 carbohydrates, and 180 grams of fat. That's not uncommon. That's not bad, as long as you're working hard in the gym. So my biggest tips for bulking up, trying to add mass, would be 1, track your food like you would if you're trying to lose weight, because you're going to want to be in a caloric surplus, about 500 to 600 every single day. And the magic formula, it's going to come out to about a pound a week. But keep in mind that you're also going to be adding fat too because you're in a surplus, but the goal is to mitigate that fat, right? Which is why we're not eating cheeseburgers or eating Big Macs or eating things that our body can do stuff with and use to repair those muscles and basically blow them up and get nice and strong, nice and big.
Okay.
The diet, short answer would be diet, focusing on your surplus and a real clean source of protein and food. And then in the gym, pushing yourself to the absolute limit and really leaving no stone unturned, leaving nothing on the table.
Okay. All right. Sounds good. Thank
Yeah.
you.
Yeah.
You got it. You got it.
All right. So speaking of people who push it to the limit, Tiger Woods. So, Tiger Woods, of course, I mean, I'm sure everyone around the world knows Tiger Woods at this point. He's arguably one of the greatest golfers of all time. I don't watch a lot of golf, so honestly, I don't know too many details of him, but I think he holds the records for like the most golf tournaments won.
Yeah.
But recently, Tiger Woods, he suffered in a bad automobile crash, so his car like rolled over several times, and he was injured pretty badly, I believe, as well. And yeah, he had to have prolonged surgery on his right leg, and a lot of people are kind of investigating right now in what happened in his automobile crash. So he had fractures affecting the tibia and the fibula in his lower right leg. And he got surgery, which he got a stabilizing rod inserted into the tibia. So they pretty much sewed him up pretty quick, but he's still in recovery right now. And a lot of people are wondering what was caused with his car, whether it was like just complete mistake or if he was under the influence of something. And a lot of people are also wondering what this injury could mean to his future of professional golf. So
I have a quick question. So was it a single car crash? Like, was it only his car that was involved in the accident?
yeah, so he rolled over. He went off like the side of he went into like kind of like off a drop, sort of like on like a hill, I think, is what it was.
Because I did read that the local sheriff wasn't going to press charges, so I don't know what exactly happened in
Yeah,
the
I
crash.
saw
But it
that.
sounded
That's
I
because
actually-
yeah.
I actually read
Yeah.
about it. So they said the article said there were no like drugs in his system at the time. But they also said crashes are common on that stretch of highway. It's like curvy and cars tend to go pretty fast. So I think that's why the sheriff decided not to press any charges here.
Yeah, because there was a speculation that he could have been under the influence of something.
I
But,
thought he was for sure.
Yeah, I mean,
so it
he
sounds just like a pretty normal. Was he alone in the car?
yeah, he
Okay.
was, and yeah, it was kind of just sporadic. So he was like driving on this highway, and it was like multiple rollover accident, and I think they said that he never lost consciousness though during the thing. So I think that yeah, his it's more just injuries to his lower body. But of course, a lot of people are wondering like how that will affect his like career. So
I don't go after the media here, but they might be chasing something that doesn't exist in the sense that this seems like a freak accident where it like involves a celebrity, but I mean it could just be a normal crash where it's on like a dangerous part of a highway and there's nothing more than just maybe he was going too fast around a corner, and I feel like the media chasing after this probably won't produce anything besides trying to get the tabloids involved. But at the same time, prayers go out to Tiger. I hope he's okay and has a swift and fast recovery and is back out on the greens.
yeah, I mean it's like this crash. This came just a month after his 5th career back surgery, so he's already kind of had a couple of setbacks to his hope for like returning to playing golf. So
well, he's also like he's had like this amazing comeback in the last few years where he won a U.S. The U.S. Open where he got
I think it was the Masters.
Masters.
Yeah,
sorry.
the Masters.
Masters,
Yeah,
yeah.
When he came back out of retirement and won a major event. So I mean, if Tiger has like a safe recovery, then he'll probably be back out there.
I hope so, because people are saying that the only thing that saved his life was his seatbelt. So wear your seatbelt.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
That's crazy.
that's wild. I
Does the
actually,
airbags not go off?
His airbag did go off, but the way his car like slid and then rolled over multiple times. So if he didn't have his seatbelt, he would have been like rolling around in that shit
Yeah.
like he was like in a tin can or something.
yeah.
Oh,
So
that makes sense. After the initial
Oh,
crash,
he
you
would have
would've
been done. Yeah.
it would have
Yeah.
banged him up really bad. So, but because of his seatbelt, he like stayed in the seat. So it was really just his legs because of how the car hit. His leg got smashed up. And,
I've actually every time I get in a car, I've been putting my seatbelt on because I wasn't for a while. Because when you're from New Hampshire,
New
it's the only
Hampshire.
state. It's the only state in the country that doesn't require seatbelts once you're over the age of 18.
It's
But if you think
insane.
about it, you're basically making a gamble like,
Yeah.
every time you get in a car and don't take safety into consideration because there's always a slight chance that you could. So it's basically like you're making a gamble before an event happens, whether or not you want to be prepared for it. So it's like even if it hasn't happened to you before, it's better to do the thing than to have some terrible
Well, I
action
mean,
happen where you're needed.
The number
Yeah,
one
or-
cause of death
so-
globally is still car accidents, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's pretty
I thought
wild.
it was like heart disease or
I was
something.
gonna say
it
it's
might
probably heart.
it might be heart
I
disease.
think it's heart disease.
There's
Yeah.
crazy statistics on heart disease. It's like it's
Yeah.
on. It's like the equivalent to like so many 747s just falling out of the sky.
All right.
Like
Well, so
thousands of them.
here's a thing about heart disease. I'm going to digress a little bit, but obviously that's a huge problem, right? And it's silently killing people. It's not, can't spread heart disease, right? But the thing about this, and also if we look at like pandemics, swine flu, coronavirus, there's such a public emphasis on, hey, wash your hands, hey, wear your mask, social distance, which I think is great, right? I think all that's great. But the issue as a trainer too that I have with that is our government, which really should be for its people, is totally ignoring this issue of heart disease, right? And they're not saying, hey, get your 60 minutes of exercise. Hey, go outside, go for a walk, right? Because we've normalized heart disease as just a thing, and we've normalized obesity as just a thing, right? And I'm not saying that we should be, being like, oh, you're fat, whatever. Yeah, we should still love that person. They should still have so much self-love for each other. But as a good friend, right, I think I'd be a disservice if I saw him gaining weight at a rapid pace and I didn't say, hey, man, you should probably lose some weight because I care about you and I want you to be around, right, and not die of heart disease. But we don't place the same emphasis on that we do on like something that's so easily transmissible, which I just thought was funny because I think our government should be doing more like they are with the coronavirus, with obesity and with heart disease and stuff like that.
Well, it's a good point. And the other thing is like even during the public health emergency, you didn't see them talking about like vitamins and supplements like zinc or vitamin D that have actually shown to like lower the rate of
well, let me tell you, they
like
shut down.
transmissibility.
They shut down my gym because they said, oh, we don't want corona spreading. Gyms across America have accounted, I think it was for like 1.4% of all cases. The rest of them are coming in bars and restaurants. But the issue is, and maybe I'll get a little political. Maybe this will piss a couple people off.
No, that's fine. That's fine.
It's because the fitness industry, we don't have a lobby to go put money in someone's pocket to keep us open.
Yeah.
Whereas restaurants in Boston, especially in Boston, restaurants have so much power. They have their big lobbies. The restaurant, the food industry is like, hey, keep us open. We'll kick you some votes. We'll give you some money, whatever, right? They're able to lobby for that stuff. And at the end of the day, someone has to answer for corona. You can't just say everything's going to be open. Someone has to answer for it because we don't have the funding, which I think working out and being healthy is probably the best thing you can do for yourself. They shut it down.
It's a good point too, is because like when you look at healthy people's lifestyles, like going to the gym is a core tenet of it. So like if you're trying to promote things that would actually help curb transmissibility, you're trying to produce a lifestyle that will actually help people like build up their immune system and fight off.
My personal experience to this date, I have had 3 friends text me saying, "Hey, go get tested because I just tested positive for Rona." Right? I did my due diligence, locked it down, got my test. All 3 of them have been negative, and I really do believe that's because I take care of myself. I give my body the tools it needs to fight off infection, and I'm not just going and compromising my immune system. I'm not drinking every night. I'm not eating junk food. I'm not eating saturated fat. You know what I mean? So I think that if we place a greater emphasis on that, your immune system is your body's best defense. All right. I think my philosophy is a little sweat and a little weights, a couple dumbbells, is going to be more effective than anything they can stick in your arm.
It's
That's
crazy
just
to
the way
me
I
though
feel.
that like even with a public health crisis, that the U.S. government finds a way to like politicize it, where in reality it should just be supporting a lifestyle. Like you saw European countries. I remember Germany and England came out with like these are the vitamins that have been shown that when people
Mm-hmm.
have sufficient amounts, people contract the disease at a lower rate. Working out
Right.
has been proven to actually help you as well. But in the U.S. government or in the media, they're focused on like going back and forth on a mask debate. It's like not trying to create like an agreement on a lifestyle that would be beneficial to trying making Americans healthier. It's just like trying to gain points over one another. And that's
right.
like my
And
biggest
that's
problem
the
with it.
sad thing about American politics that we have is, no one really cares about compromise anymore, and that's gone out the window.
Yeah.
And it really is sad. It's really sad.
So even the basic things are like a month-long fight.
Well, even the basic things are becoming political now.
Yeah.
Oh, hey,
It's crazy.
if you go to the gym during a pandemic, you must like Trump. Or hey, if you're wearing a mask and it looks like you like Biden, it's just like, no, I'm wearing a mask because one, I want to catch this shit. Two, it's a little cold out, and I'm going to the gym because I want to get fucking jacked and tan for the summer. You know what I mean? Like, there's no politics behind it. It's absolutely senseless to me. Absolutely senseless.
Yeah.
You're right about that. Everything has become like divisive politically, and it's also funny that you mentioned the thing about cases, like very few cases coming from gyms, because my boxing gym that I go to over in Waltham, Sorabella Training Center, it was like one of the, as soon as they got like the green light for gyms to open up again, they opened up, and they had like a lot of procedures. Like it's not hard to put in procedures where you get your temperature taken at the door. Like it's also like a gym you have to become a member to, so like they limit the amount of people, and then there's distancing, and yet you're still able to wear a mask if you want to like train and use the same bags as other people, same heavy bags and speed bags, that kind of stuff.
And also, like, it should be mentioned too that gyms have some of like the most thorough cleaning procedures out of any facility.
Yeah.
Like it's constantly being cleaned at a rate like most other facilities don't.
Exactly.
Even before the pandemic, like gyms.
Yeah.
Wiping shit down before, exactly.
Like at the Suffolk gym, whenever you were done using anything, you grab like the
Wipe
disinfecting wipes and you wipe them
common
down.
human decency. It's like putting the cart back after you're done shopping. It's like it's common human decency.
Yeah.
But like you guys are saying, it makes no sense to me why, if I'm a government looking in, why I'd be like, all right, we're gonna shut these guys down. The one job is to keep people healthy, and we're gonna shut it down.
Yeah, and they would clean all the equipment too at my gym too after, like all the like if anyone used gloves or the face protection. And that's the thing that I find that funny, because with a restaurant, for example, I mean, not to bash on them either, but with a restaurant, like how do you know that like people are like coming in one group are just not random people? Like how do you know they're like family or live together or friends or something? Like how do you keep track of that? And like it's just like
and it's all indoors now too. And my thing is this: with my studio and with most gyms, like you said, it's on a membership basis. You know exactly who's going in and who's going out. You know exactly who's going in, and you know exactly who is there at what time. And it's so easy to track. Contact tracing. It's such an easy thing to do in a gym.
Yeah.
Also, I've watched enough I've watched enough kitchen nightmares and bar rescue to know that restaurants are not fucking cleaner than gyms.
No.
Yes, sir.
You know what? After working in the restaurant industry of Boston for like 2.5 years, I refuse to touch ramekins. They're the most disgusting fucking things. Oh my god. Like
what's a ramekin?
You know those little silver things that ketchup comes in?
Yeah.
Oh, I do know those.
Yeah, so if you actually look at the way they're cleaned, right? So I used to be a food runner at a place in TD Garden that's like relatively new. So it's like a upper tier place, right? Massive dishwashing pit and everything. But with ramekins, they go through the dishwasher, right? And then you take them out, and they just stack them immediately. The dishwashers don't wipe them down. The people running the food wipe them. So half the time, you have these set of ramekins that are supposed to be clean, and you get to one, and there's still like stuff stuck in the bottom,
That's
like
gross.
blue cheese or ketchup, and you gotta like wipe it with a towel, and then that's it. You pour some sauce in
Someone
it and
else put some
serve it.
shit in there.
I
And
refuse
then
to
they dip
use.
their fries in there and they
I
double
don't.
dip.
I don't
Disease for you,
even. I
disease
don't
for
use
you.
ketchup at restaurants. I just don't. It's gross. I can't do it.
That's it. That's like what we were saying. You know, like these
Yeah.
places that are filthy
Yeah.
are not getting shut down.
It's
And
little
I truly
things like that.
believe-
Yeah.
I truly do believe it's because they have money in the game essentially, and
Yeah.
we don't. You know,
Yeah.
fitness is
Also, let's
relatively
be
new. We don't
real.
have a fucking fitness lobby. We shouldn't have to have a fitness lobby.
No.
Everyone should be
ruling-
like, "Oh, I
does
should
the-
want to be healthy." You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Does the ruling class even go to gyms because they probably have their own like personal
Yeah.
like setup at
They
home, and
don't.
also
Dude, I
they
mean,
have
we
to
saw.
go-
We saw. It doesn't matter. We saw Nancy Pelosi at a hair salon. You know what
yeah,
I
that's
mean?
what I'm
We saw-
saying. Like, it
We
doesn't
saw
matter.
Newsom at a freaking party or whatever. You know what I
The
mean?
only
Like,
reason they kept the restaurants open is so that they could go talk to their posh friends and
Exactly.
close
Yeah.
deals together.
Yeah.
exactly.
Well, they
All right,
shut
well-
down.
On the topic of U.S., I'm actually going to talk about a different thing that I mentioned earlier. This article that I read is U.S. wind and solar post record growth in 2020 despite pandemic restrictions and job losses. All right, so the United States solar and wind developers had a record year in 2020 despite punishing restrictions and job losses brought on by the COVID-19 pandemic, ultimately rising to 20% of the country's electricity production, according to new data released by Bloomberg New Energy Finance and the Business Council for Sustainable Energy. The growth in the two renewables brought the electricity sources usually designed for net zero carbon emission, including hydropower and nuclear, up to 40% of U.S. electricity supply. Green Tech Media reports. Coal-fired generation continues its fall, with fossil gas demand declining for the first time since 2009. Almost over. The first months of the pandemic were a tough time for renewables. Green Tech recalls with manufacturers in Asia pausing production and U.S. shutdown orders, putting a major stop in construction and sales. Environmental entrepreneurs said the industry last, I don't know what that 67,000 jobs added, I guess, between February and December. So I'm gonna assume that. Oh no, it might be lost. They just spelled it wrong. It's probably lost 67,000 jobs.
No one caught that.
Yeah, I was gonna say but in the end, those struggles did not mute overall growth. Green Tech writes, Bloomberg put new solar installation for the last year at 16.5 gigawatts. All right, so gigawatts, I did a breakdown. So a gigawatt is 1,000 megawatts, and 1 megawatt is 1,000 kilowatts. So it takes about 10 kilowatts to power a modern home.
Okay.
So that's a lot of U.S. homes. I think I did the math, and it's about 10,000 U.S. homes for every gigawatt added. So 16.5 gigawatts is enough. And at the 2020 figure, it ended at 19 gigawatts, which is quite a bit. The gas-fired generation still made up 41% of U.S. electricity mix, showing how difficult it will be to erode the grip that fossil fuels have on the power industry, as President Biden has pledged to do. I basically just picked that article because I thought it was interesting to see that the renewable sector has added jobs during the pandemic instead of losing them, and it's also fueling a lot more of new power growth in the U.S. What do you guys think?
That's amazing, honestly. I'm surprised that happened in 2020, actually, because the administration rolled back like every subsidy they could for green energy.
Yeah, it's really cool. So it means like 190,000 U.S. homes just got added to solar and wind-based electricity. Yeah, to the power grid, which is still a slow pace, I would say, in totality. But if you look at it at a time scale over years and continuing to increase those productions, you're still going to need different energy sources like gas and nuclear to get us 100% there. But
I'm not a big
it's awesome.
fan of wind power. Wind power is it dies faster than solar. Like wind turbines, they corrode faster than solar, or they just like their lifetime is a lot shorter. And on top of that, how do we dispose of them? We just chuck them in the ocean. That's how we get rid of
Yeah, well, with the disposal,
wind turbines.
that's bad to dispose of. But I actually think in areas where you can use wind power, it provides so much energy. Like I'd say it
Yeah.
provides more than solar if you use them in coastal areas or in like mountainous areas.
Yeah. My big thing right here is that when you think about like the way the economy's shifting with EVs and renewable energies, you're going to have a huge need in both union labor and skilled labor to be able to work in these sectors. So what the next bill, stimulus or whatever form of the bill that gets passed for a huge injection of gas in the U.S. economy, it should be primarily focused around getting labor pools to develop skills in these two sectors, I think. Because
Yeah.
if you don't have the mechanics to work on EVs, you're going to have to replace your car a lot faster. So you have to get knowledge based in EV production. And you also have to get knowledge for installing solar and wind, I think. So it's like a cool point that like the future of the U.S. infrastructure is going to be a lot different than what it is in the modern time because we haven't really put investments into educating people. We should also put investments into education, more training for skilled-based laborers.
Yeah.
I think those are like the big points here.
Our government won't do that. Come on.
No, dude. No, they will not.
I don't know. I just thought super interesting. So 19 gigawatts, which is crazy because we only added 1 gigawatt in 2010. So the fact that we're up to 19
Wow.
gigawatts now shows like the improvement
Yeah.
in technology over time.
Yeah, I mean, as time goes on, I think there's just the U.S. solves things with private industry. So I think as time goes on and the technology becomes cheaper and storage becomes easier, we're going to see just natural growth within
Yeah.
green
I think a
energy.
lot of this has to do with subsidies. Like all the government really has to do is subsidize energy production for non-carbon emitting companies, and then let the companies focus on how to train workers to develop the skills. Because like we have a huge shortage right now of like when more producers get into the EV market, like no one can work on your car. Like all the mechanics I know that I bring my cars to are primarily ICE, internal combustion engine workers who don't really know how to perform work on an electric car for the most part. They know components in an ICE that have like electric computers inside of them, but at the same time, it's not a battery operated or battery motor vehicle.
This is actually, there's a big controversy with Tesla. If you, there's this YouTube channel called like Rich's Rebuilds.
Yeah, Rich's Rebuild. I follow
Yeah.
him. I love that
Yeah.
man.
So he
He's in
points
Boston.
out, yeah. Oh, is he?
Well, he's in Salem, Mass.
Wow.
But yeah, he works in
I
Boston.
didn't know that. But yeah, he talks about how like Tesla, when you buy a Tesla vehicle, Tesla still like owns that car. Like they can deactivate packages you pay for without telling you. Like they can pretty much control your car even though you bought it.
Yeah.
And you can only take it to certain certified body shops. And if you don't take it to one of them and Tesla can tell that you didn't, they can start shutting down features that you paid for.
Yeah, it's crazy too, because if we can get into this a little bit more, this is a super interesting topic too. So Tesla will refuse to sell you individual parts for the car. If your car can't be repaired by Tesla or they think it's too expensive to repair it, they will deem that car salvage, which means you have to send it to a salvage yard. And say someone buys that salvage car. Okay, so Tesla has logged that car off of their infrastructure, which means you don't have access to the Tesla app anymore. You can't use self-driving features. You can't use a ton of features that are normal inside the car. So essentially, you're buying a piece of outdated equipment from Tesla. So it's a huge controversy.
That they
what
still
Tesla's
own.
done. But the one thing Tesla's done to make it so that mechanics can't work on these cars is Tesla doesn't have any dealerships. So with a lot of laws around the United States, mechanics are by law required to have the same tools on hand that dealerships have. But Tesla doesn't have dealerships, so they don't have to support any local mechanics working on their vehicles. So you either send your car to Tesla for them to fix it, which will run you up an insane bill, or you send it to a salvage yard and buy a new Tesla. So, like right now, Tesla's deployment of their vehicles across the country has not been sustainable in the sense that once another EV company that compete with them on range comes into the market and actually supports local mechanics, Tesla's going to be screwed, or at least going to have to change their business model.
Well, not only that, so Toyota's developing hydrogen-powered engines. So as time goes on, that technology will start to become cheaper and more widely implemented. And other companies like other major energy providers like ExxonMobil and Shell, like these guys are gonna, all the other auto industry who they don't have the same supercharger network that Tesla set up. What are they going to start doing? Other automakers who are switching to EV, they're going to have to partner with these other energy dealers to set up a whole new network of chargers.
Yeah, I think the point you brought up is good, because the car company I trust more than any other in the world is Toyota. I feel like Toyota values their consumers a lot more than most companies do.
Yeah.
So like when you have a company that actually takes care of its customers, you're going to see a big shift in hydrogen and electric vehicle production. And I trust Toyota to make a great product. Like I have a Toyota. The first car I owned was a Toyota. The car I just bought was or financed as a Toyota. I'll probably own nothing else besides a Toyota if they make the change in a great way over to EVs and hydrogen powered cars.
Yeah.
But I mean, like I'd never buy a Tesla, especially after Reach Rebuild has done all these videos. They seem like cancerous to deal with, honestly.
Yeah.
From like a mechanical perspective.
Like
So
if anything goes wrong, like you're gonna spend an arm and a leg, or you're gonna lose your entire car, basically.
Yeah. No, one last point.
They have the monopoly on electric vehicles.
Yeah.
Well, that's what I also feel like, is there's not a lot, you're not going to find like common mechanics who know how to operate on a Tesla, so.
So you hear that, mechanics out there? If you learn how to do the Tesla shit, you're gonna be rich.
Yeah.
Follow Richie's rebuilds. Rebuilds. That dude.
Yeah.
That dude's a genius.
And then the last point for this article, I think, is like any young Americans out there, like if you're watching the show and not going to college, I think like if you want to get a skill-based job, like pretty much the electrification of the economy is the future. So if you're trying to position yourself in like labor-based jobs, do it with either EV like skills where you can learn how to like work on electric vehicles, or do it in the solar or wind field, something that actually like is going to have deep investments into the future decades.
Or even the government's injecting a ton of money into broadband right now, so like
Yes.
like that kind of electrical work and communications kind of technologists, like laying down fiber wire, that kind of thing.
Like I actually think the most important job going into the next few decades for like the actual labor force is going to be electrician. Because if you think about it, pretty much every product now is going to involve electricity to some capacity.
You don't need to go to college for that either.
You know, that's what I'm saying. And you'll be making more than college grads are.
Yeah, it's cool too. Kind of breaking down that the stereotype that you have to go to college to succeed. You know, I'm not even using my degree right now. If I run out of toilet paper, you know, at least I know I have a backup piece of paper.
Yeah.
You know, I'm not even using my degree right now. So I would say if there's anyone out there that's thinking about, you know, not going to college, you know, take a gap year, see what happens. I think going to college is probably a big mistake for me. Learning kind of like the career path that I'm at. I'm not gonna knock Suffolk on this here podcast, but I think you both know how I feel. But yeah, if you can slide into something like that a lot of people are overlooking. I don't know if you guys think this, but it's kind of like a paradox in the job market now, where like, you know, we have less of those jobs, people doing them, because we bought into the rule that you had to go to college to be successful.
Yeah.
So we used to have a ton of mechanics, and now it's like, you know what? Like, don't do what Jimmy's doing. Go to college and get yourself a good job. So now you have all these business kids that go to college, and all these sales kids and marketing kids that can't find jobs right now, right?
Yeah.
Because these companies aren't hiring. But the kid that didn't go to college is doing fine, because we need those people, right? And I think that we've kind of shifted away from focusing on who is essential, right? And just saying, go chase a degree, when that might not be the best option for everyone.
We actually have massive shortages in the trades, like carpenters, plumbers, Like,
Yeah, it's a huge
Well, it's
problem.
because no one wants to do it because
Yeah,
they've all
no
been
one
told they
wants
have to go
to.
to college.
yeah,
There's really only two ways to solve the problem. One is to invest in the education system and change it to where skills are actually included in K through 12, and you actually have an option to not just like pursue a college degree, but pursue
yeah. You
actual
learn actual
skills in the
technical
class.
skills.
Yeah, like becoming a mechanic inside of a classroom. Or the other option is immigration and actually taking immigrants from other countries, injecting them into America and allowing them to do the skills. So there's only two options you have. I think they both have pros and cons to them. But at the end of the day, those are the only options we have with the way we set up the economy.
Wait, are you
Right.
saying there are alternatives to working in a coal mine, dude? I don't. What?
I mean, like, we've been overlooking this issue for so many decades, but like chasing a college degree has been proven at this point that it's not going to work out for most Americans.
It doesn't. It doesn't work out
It
for most
doesn't.
Americans.
It doesn't work out for
How
a
many
lot.
how many people do you know who graduate college are doing exactly what their degree says on their for their job?
My
Very
dad
few.
isn't even doing what he
Very
like.
few. Very few.
Yeah, my
I
dad
don't need a
literally
college
took
degree to do
the.
my job.
Say 5%, maybe 10%.
5%. Yeah, and you know those people are doctors, nurses, and lawyers. Those three people.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yep.
That's it.
Yep.
Like in
And I
actual.
guarantee you, Bill with the business degree is not an executive. Bill with the management degree is not a CEO, right?
No.
He's probably working some fucking bum marketing job down at Xfinity or something.
Yeah.
Like it's not. It just doesn't work like that. It's a waste of
Yeah.
money putting yourself back, hundreds of thousands of dollars in some cases for what? Something that you can't pay back for 20 years.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's
You know?
a fact.
And then look at the stats too. Like, would you bet on the Jacksonville Jaguars to win the Super Bowl? Absolutely not.
No, fuck
Right?
that.
It's not like we don't have those numbers available to us. We know exactly how many people have college degrees and are still unemployed.
Yeah.
Yep.
But
Yeah, it's
yet we
crazy.
still bet on the college path because we're told, which is horrible.
It's actually it's a topic I find super passionate about because my dad was in the labor force. He was a carpenter for like 30 years, and they're actually struggling to find union labor now because of the way America set up its economy to skew students away from that path. When in reality, like we've actually ignored the thing that's basically the foundation of the U.S. economy. All the jobs that allow people to pursue college degrees have now been outcasted.
It's our job
Yeah.
that we need to literally construct our infrastructure to get people to educate.
Yeah. To literally like
build.
build faster railroads and nicer highways. Like we don't have the workforce
Look
for
at
it.
Japan, dude. Look at Japan. Japan's got a
Oh.
train. It's like a
Yeah.
magnetically propelled
Oh,
train.
they're-
It goes a trillion miles an hour, dude. You know what I mean?
Best
because
car
they
company in
put
the world
time in.
too.
Yeah.
they put-
If Japan was bigger, if Japan had like an actual landmass, it would be like
Hello.
a utopia.
I actually think Japan. I've said this
they
multiple
already
times.
tried that.
I've said
Yeah.
this
Didn't work
multiple
out.
times.
Yeah,
on the podcast, too.
I remember.
I actually think the Japanese have the highest quality products in the world. Like I've never had something from Japan that I regretted purchasing. It is like I've had PlayStation, I've had Toyota, I've had like a bunch of like new merchandise from one of the shops that Michelle likes to shop at. It's never disappointing. The quality's always fantastic. There's never any any
There's
questions.
there's no lack of. It seems like they care about everything. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. It's honestly, it's amazing. I wish like we had that
Yeah.
like that quality of product, but we just don't anymore.
I
It's
mean,
gone.
From China, we take it from China.
Yeah, but I'd honestly argue that the Chinese quality isn't that great either. Japan has the best.
Oh,
quality.
China's quality is terrible, man. It's why-
Yeah.
well, China has like camps where people get paid like slave wages, and that's why everything's so cheap.
Well, you have to have labor markets somewhere.
See
Yeah.
what they're doing out in Western China with like the Uyghurs or whatever.
Yeah. It's crazy.
But no one wants
Oh,
to
yeah.
talk about that. Trump's out of office, so the media is taking a break right now.
We actually we covered a bit of that in our last episode with Kenny. Yeah, it's actually it's messed up.
It is, man. It
Yeah.
is. But it is what it is, fellas. That's what I
I
say.
mean, the biggest part of that though is like we decided, like the ruling class of financial elites in the country decided that we needed low wage labor sources outside of the country.
Yeah,
And
for
ultimately,
some
when you make that decision, there are like consequences. You're gonna have people who don't have the same ideology as you that end up, taking those jobs and then like
Well,
growing their economy from it. So it's like at the same time, our like ruling class did that to the country. So what are you gonna bitch about? They
Yeah.
chose to do that
also,
themselves.
yeah, and also the Uyghurs, they don't really have like a big lobbying either in international
Oh,
politics.
you don't say.
Like they're just like an isolated group of people. But the Chinese government literally sells shit to every continent, and because of our like corrupt ass corporations, instead of trying to like actually pay decent wages to Americans and keep business here, they rather go and outsource overseas to
You
China.
can't
Oh,
do it now. Those labor markets. I hate when people try and like bring a protectionist policy. The best we could do is tax companies that outsource labor, but
yeah.
at the same time, the labor markets aren't coming back. I hate when
No,
people
that
like
labor
try and-
can't come back. There's no
It's
way.
not coming back. It's not. What you're gonna have to do is teach people skilled-based labors, repair, and like maintenance on things.
Solar
That's
panels.
exactly, and installation. Those are like
Yeah.
the sectors that you can actually build on in America, I think.
Yeah. Oh, for sure.
Yeah. So I mean, like, I don't know. It's just like there are good and bad things about all this, but at the same time, I don't like see it as a dire situation. I just think the U.S. government doesn't know how to invest money properly.
No.
I don't think so. U.S. government, they don't know what they're doing.
Oh, what gave it
No.
away? Like the multi-trillion-dollar debt, or?
We're gonna be at 30 trillion soon. We're gonna be. Are we gonna have a party? U.S. debt reaches 30 trillion.
Yeah.
Can we throw?
Does it even matter anymore? Dude, we're not paying that bad, you know?
There's
No,
no
the
way.
funniest part too is most of it's owed to the taxpayer. So like everyone thinks that we're in like major debt to all these different countries and stuff, which we are to some extent. But dude, we owe Americans more than we owe any other country.
Yeah, the government's in debt to its own people. It's so ironic.
So that means that you see the solution here, fellas, is we just don't pay taxes right now.
Yeah,
So,
yeah,
get it
exactly.
back, and then we're square.
Yeah, that's
You
fair.
know,
That would be
fears on the
great.
U.S. government for the next 50 years.
Yeah.
All right, so that's it for my topic.
All right, thank you so much, guys, for tuning in and for listening to me, Dan, as your guest. Special offer for all the listeners of Straight No Chaser also extends to our gracious hosts here. If you DM my Instagram account at DrezFit with the code SNC for Straight No Chaser, you'll be having a free session with me down at North End Fitness. See how you like it, jumpstart your goals, and jumpstart the summer body. So again, DM me, give me a follow at SNC is the message, and then we'll be good to go.
Awesome.
Word.
Perfect.
Yeah,
Thank
that's
you.
great.
If you guys want to stop by, just let me know. I'll take care of you guys.
All
Hell
right.
yeah. Thank you.
That's awesome.
All right, I got an early session, so I got to go to bed. Like
All
a man.
Alrighty.
Good luck,
Thanks,
man.
Dan.
Yeah, of
That was
course.
awesome. I really enjoyed it. I do have here a piece of Reddit advice. It actually goes with this week's episode. Do you want me to get into it? I did pick like a pretty good one, I thought.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Alex
Alright.
or Mike?
All right, so this is from our advice. We do this thing every week, Reddit advice. It says, help. I was just kicked out of the gym. So basically, I've been going to the gym, different ones, since my mid-teens. I train mainly the main methodology that they have in my country, Brazil, bodybuilding. Had some minor stops along the way, nothing more than 3 months up until the pandemic. I stopped the weight training, but kept doing home workouts 6 days a week. Felt little to no difference, but it helped gain no weight. After the regulation loosened a little, I went straight to the nearest gym for help and guidance. I informed the instructor that I had already been training nonstop for more than 4 years, and the same old training didn't have any effect on my even before I stopped. Well, that's written terribly, but oh well. Also informed him that I had a heart condition I have, and that I never stopped, that I never lose weight doing treadmill, elliptical, or bicycle. So what training does he recommend for me? Powerlifting? No. The exact same exercises I was doing before I stopped due to the COVID pandemic. Also, whenever I wanted or said that the weight he gave me / suggested was not enough for me, he just said, for me to add slowly, even if I did not feel anything, because it's their methodology. And he made a scene if I did more repetitions than I was supposed to. I love training, but let me see. I gotta scroll down. But I have no interest, and especially if there's no result. I lose all my motivation to trim at that point. After that, I went into the gym, or a different gym branch. I had previously experimented due to the distance. In the first day, the instructor, let's call him Instructor A, didn't even ask for my name, just guided me to the treadmill. I questioned it since I developed a lot of micro lesions, on my feet due to running, mostly on treadmill, to lose fat. He just pretended I didn't say anything and went downstairs. I went to the receptionist, told her what had happened. She apologized and called the other instructor. Let's call him Instructor B. He asked some things, but ultimately he got a random list of exercises from their software and gave it to me. Well, this is not looking good. I kept going to the course over the last 2 weeks, but always with discomfort in the trainings that were given to me. I complained personally to the instructors, and the only guy who works in the morning period, not one of the two instructors mentioned, asked me things, treated me nicely, and even gave me some exercises that I enjoyed. The next day, back to Instructor A and B. Instructor A went to help a guy who was having some issues to execute his exercise, mostly psychological and out of fear. And Instructor A, out of nowhere, says, "Oh, wow, I don't know if I can say it. I will say it, but it's in quotes. Come on, little faggot." He said it in Portuguese, way heavier than this, than it would be in English. An attempt to motivate the poor guy.
Jeez.
You're going to have a lot to say on this, Dan. Today, Monday again, I had some problems with Instructor A since B is always nowhere to be seen. I asked him to show me how to adjust a 45-degree leg press machine that was different than the other ones I had seen. He asked he adjusted the max and asked me to sit and try the machine, but it wouldn't even budge. At the same time, it was too light. He said that I was on my tiptoes, and I even said that it didn't feel right. He just ignored me and walked away. The next day I had chest press 2. I asked him if there wasn't a different exercise I could do. He took me to the chest press machine, and after I said that the machine was not feeling right, he turned his back to talk to other people as if I hadn't said anything. I reported everything I wrote to the person who handles the phone number at the gym. They said they couldn't do anything but let me go free of charge as it was their methodology. Am I crazy? Is this normal? It's the second gym around me that I've had a problem with the instructors, so I'm starting to guess that it is me that is the problem. What do you think, Dan?
That was a lot.
Yeah, it was a lot.
One, if she put as much effort into her workouts as she did to her complaints, I'm sure her results would be a lot better. Seems like 2, in terms of methodology, she thinks is just one. It seems like she had bad coaches, right? It seemed like Coach A and B or whatever just don't really care. You're doing kind of like a cookie cutter type program where if it works for most people, it'll work for this one girl. I think that they definitely lacked some sort of like gating questions to see if she had that heart condition or if she's seen results doing what she was doing. But one of the big things she says, I'm not losing any weight, I'm not seeing any progress. But this goes back to what we talked about earlier with the EPOC. So she's doing the elliptical, she's doing the bike, she's doing the treadmill. That's all steady state cardio. That's an aerobic activity. Remember what we said with the afterburn, the 48 hours. That's how you're going to burn all those calories, right? She's just doing steady state. She's just doing things. So we call this an exerciser. I call her an exerciser, right? So she's exercising. She's not training, right? There's a difference between the two. Training is a very specific dot on that map that you have that you're going to get to at all costs. You're going to do whatever it takes to get to that dot. Exercising is a pastime. It's like fishing, right? You cast out the line lazily. You feel good. Maybe you get a bite. Maybe you don't. You go home feeling the same way. Oh, okay, that was great. I love fishing. No, right? Nobody has fun. So it seems like she seems motivated, right? She's definitely dedicating the time, which is good. She has bad coaches and is just complaining to managers, which is horrible, right? That's bad on her. Take initiative. Say something. Do your own initiative, right? That's what a lot of people do. They say, fuck this guy, he doesn't know what he's talking about. I'm going to do my own research. right? The world is her oyster, and she doesn't seem like she wants to explore that very much. In terms of like her, when she said powerlifting, I mean, unless you want to be a powerlifter, right? You just don't need to be throwing around 90% of your 1 rep max if you don't want to compete. It seems like she's very stuck in her ways, and that instead of blaming the methodology, if she doesn't like the methodology that they have, and I don't like their methodology either, come up with your own. Because the great thing about fitness is there's no right answers. There's things that have worked for most people. At the end of the day, everybody is different, right? So we all come up with our own little set of guidelines for each other. Like, for example, my workout and a B's workout might be very similar, but there might be 1 or 2 things at the end there that I do that he doesn't do, and vice versa, because our bodies react differently to a certain type of training. So it seems like she needs to develop her own methodology, experiment a little bit more. She had all that time to experiment. Clearly, she didn't do it, but experiment a little bit more with what your body reacts to well, what your body doesn't react to well. And then you'll kind of have a roadmap and more information for these coaches, right? Maybe they're not the worst coaches in the world, but maybe she wasn't giving them enough information about what they needed to succeed, right? Because if one of you guys comes to me and just says, I want to get big and then wear the weights, right? I'm going to have no idea what your metabolism is like, what you eat on a daily basis, what your hobbies are outside the gym, what you do for work. Maybe you're sitting all day and you have imbalance. Maybe you're standing, so your core is good. All that, right? All that stuff. So maybe she needs to be a little bit more transparent as well. And the only way you learn more about yourself in a fitness environment is to experiment with different things and see what works and what doesn't. So get a new coach. Put a little bit more effort into your workouts. Don't be afraid to push yourself, and just figure it out, man. Figure it out.
That's good. That's good advice. I think so. The only thing I thought of was that it seemed like the trainers weren't even like guiding her that well. It seems like they like had better things to do. That was the only point I thought I agreed with her on. Is like didn't seem like they had much interest in learning much about her or like trying to find exercises that she enjoyed.
Bad coaching, lazy coaching. But then again, it's a 2-way street. You got a bad coach, find a new one.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah, I'd say like if it was that bad there, why stay there for that long? Like you'd be better off sticking to your own thing until you find a place that you think has a better culture.
Exactly. That's biggest thing too is culture. If you enjoy going to the place where you go and working out with the people who you enjoy working out with, it's not gonna feel like you're exercising. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. There's less of that dread. Oh, I gotta go to the gym. But you'll know when you've hit that point that I talked about. That point of kind of you either help people or you go do your own thing, because that point is the point where you have a workout on your schedule, and that's the bright spot of your day. Not holy crap, I gotta exercise. Like, yeah, let's go. I get to exercise.
Yeah.
That's how you know.
All right, I have one more. This one's good. I've actually dealt with this one. It's actually short, so it's not like a really long one. But I'm interested to hear what your guys' responses are. It's actually more general for all 4. So this is r/advice again. How to stop being sad over a breakup. I'm really depressed and can't stop thinking about how I lost the person that I love. I'm just really sad about it. Any suggestions on how I get over this? For me, time heals all wounds. The top rated comment is kind of hilarious. Let me read it. It says, "Go get some pussy / dick. Sex will get this off your mind for anyone." And he says, "Also time," and with the smiley face at the end. But like my advice is like go talk to more people. I noticed the more people you're encountering, the better your chances are of getting over it quickly. Go introduce yourself to new people, like of the sex that you're interested in dating, and then like at that point, when you get close to other females, you'll probably start to like let the other one phase out of your mind. Essentially. Mm-hmm. Anyone else have any ideas?
Hit the gym, pump some fucking iron. Work more
plates, more dates.
Yeah, more plates, more dates, dude. Like freaking sun's out, guns out, dude. Curls for the girls. Isn't that why most of us go to the gym anyway, right? So you know what? Now you're motivated. Now you're sad. Turn that sadness into anger and punish the weights, right? Go out and prove to yourself that you don't need that person. You can lift 4 times your body weight because that's how strong you are, right? Like, that's the perfect spot to just focus on yourself. And I think that healing starts with not only like, yeah, wow, that sucked, but then making sure that you're okay, right? And building back from the ground up. And that starts with a really deep, heavy loaded squat. Let's go.
I love that response. Starts with chiseled abs and fucking jacked arms.
Chiseled abs and biceps with the peak bigger than Mount Everest. You know what I mean?
That's
Yeah.
awesome.
Hey, if you don't want to pump iron, bro, start a podcast and a YouTube channel. That also.
I'll do it too.
That's a fun hobby.
Alex, do you have advice?
Yeah, so I was gonna say kind of like a mix sort of what you guys say. So like honestly, I mean it depends a bit on like how the breakup was, but I'd say the best thing overall is just to kind of get your mind off of it.
Yeah.
Like you just want to do stuff you love, like you want to do stuff that makes you happy. Like that's just like advice for like whenever you're sad. And I think you got to stop dwelling on that person because like most likely they're not going to be someone you want back in your life. Like that's something I like when I've noticed growing up is like you can't dwell on someone too long. You kind of just got to like there's going to be someone better out there. So like you got to do the things that make you happy in the moment, like work out, like start a YouTube podcast. And then eventually you might meet somebody doing that who has similar interests to you. So
Yeah.
you never know.
Well, yeah, the thing too is like what you were saying, like another good way to look at it is, and it's kind of egotistical, but just know your own worth, right? And then if someone just gets rid of you or rejects you, you just be like, well, you know what? They're missing out. They are missing out,
Yeah.
and they missed their chance because, like, you know what? Maybe they're right. Maybe they weren't good enough for me. It's not ever the other way around because then you're just going to tear yourself down over and over and over again. Where you have to look at the other way, be like, you know what? That happened for a reason, all right? Because maybe, you know, they are not good enough for me. I need to do better because they're missing out. They're missing out, not me, right? So it's like kind of like an attitude adjustment, and it's a little bit cocky, but I think a lot of people don't realize how much they're worth, and they don't realize their unique skill set, and they don't realize really the brightness that they bring into the world every day. Because some of those people don't get those compliments often, right? So I think realizing what you bring to the world and what your value is gonna help you out so much in the long run.
Yeah.
And during the COVID era, I should mention like another strategy you could go about this would be jump on Tinder, make a profile. Also maybe eHarmony, plenty of fish if you're a little older. You know, start swiping.
Christian Mingle.
Or if you're really not looking to go that route, just go to Craigslist or Backpages and go find like a $50 ad and just get your mind off of it. Someone.
Let's not
promote that on this.
let's not endorse. Let's not endorse prostitution on this show, huh? Let's keep that.
I don't know where this guy is. Maybe he's in Nevada. You know, you never know.
Wait, are we still talking about? Oh, we're still talking about this guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, pump some iron, dude. You'll feel better.
Yeah.
That's all I got. Farmers only.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, Dan, we want to thank you for coming on the show.
Yeah, you had some great points.
Yeah,
great
thanks
points.
everyone.
You guys for having the blast.
Yeah, we appreciate everyone who listened in. Remember to like and subscribe. That was Straight No Chaser, episode 24.